Welcome back to The Price of Business. I am your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. Talking to Tony Powers. We know him with Powers to the People. He's a radio personality out there in the Carolinas and Georgia. Also heard all over the globe thanks to italkus.com. I consider him one of my favorite people in radio, which is why we get him on the program. And he and I have kind of a mutual appreciation society. Tony, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing great, Kevin. Glad to be with you today.
So tell me, my friend, what are people angry about in your universe?
Oh, gosh, everything. They are angry about everything. You know, yesterday I had a few guests on talking about the stock market, what's happening there. And, of course, nobody's been talking about the debt lately. Have you noticed that? We haven't heard a whole lot about the national debt yet. They've been doing all kinds of extraordinary measures. We're actually have gone past our national debt ceiling, and instead of actually addressing that, what they've done is these unusual measures that you hear about all the time, and the Treasury is doing that, and nobody's talking about that. And I think it's going to be a real issue here coming up towards the end of September when the budget battle begins. And, you know, we've got to have a budget, and I got a feeling Obama's going to use that as a bludgeon to bludgeon the GOP with in order to get whatever he wants in the budget done.
Yeah, absolutely. I could see that. And it is interesting that that's not part of the conversation at all. You know, and the reason why, one of the reasons why is that neither side wins from that conversation. You know, the Democrats look irresponsible and the Republicans look wimpy.
Oh, absolutely. And the Republicans, here's what's going to happen, and I can pretty much predict it, and I'm sure you can too. We're going to end up with another one of these omnibus spending bills. We're not going to have any reduction in spending at all. We're going to have the debt ceiling raised, and John Boehner and Mitch McConnell are just going to roll over and do nothing and say, oh, well, we can't shut down the government. We can't use the power of the purse. And the people out here in flyover country are going to get angrier and angrier. That's why you see Donald Trump doing so well, is we sent these people there in 2014 to stop this thing and to stop Obama's agenda, and they have done nothing but continue to do whatever he wants and just basically wave that white flag of surrender and not do what they constitutionally are supposed to do, and that is use the power of the purse.
Yep, and of course Obama just asserts that power anyway, but at least they should give it a shot.
Yes, they could give it a shot, and at least get the Democrats on record. I mean, if the Democrats are going to vote against reducing spending, if they're going to vote in favor of funding Planned Parenthood, whatever the issue, at least get them on record, and then you'll have that record of the Democrats saying, okay, yeah, we agree with spending $500 million so that Planned Parenthood can sell baby parts. You know, yeah, we agree that we need to raise the debt ceiling so our children and grandchildren won't have any future. Let's just get them on record, and Republicans, let's get them on record too, so we'll know which ones we need to primary.
Yeah, I think you're right. Obviously, those become, hopefully, referendum issues. Now, are you like me in kind of being in shock at the type of people I've known who are conservatives that I've known for a long time? They're not professionals. I mean, it kind of sounds smug, but you and I we kind of do this for a living. We talk about this. We kind of have to be responsible for what we say. We read about it on a regular basis, you know, although I'll say I've got a few wacky positions that are pretty tenuous. But, you know, I kind of also consider myself as a professional. And as a professional in the field of punditry, no credentials required, I just cannot imagine supporting Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a buffoon. Donald Trump is not an ideological conservative. Donald Trump is dangerous. And I totally, on the one hand, get the angst and the fear and the loathing that leads to people going to him, but I don't get the type of people that I found, some of whom I thought are solid long-term conservatives, who are on his boat. You know, I'm finding it very odd and disconcerting. Your thoughts?
Well, you know, I actually have seen this. I mean, it is incredible. You go online and, you know, on Facebook or Twitter or whatever social media you're on, and you just talk to friends, and you're absolutely right. I mean, you don't have to have a degree to be a political pundit, but that's what we do, and we spend a lot of time, investigating the issues and doing research, and we know where people stand. And Rand Paul actually has some ads out that are kind of anti-Trump, and they talk about how he was for single-payer insurance, which is even beyond Obamacare. He was for raising taxes on the rich. He has been for so many things that are not conservative. It is incredible, but people are ignoring that. And it seems like when you attack him, the more you attack him or the more you bring these things up, people say, well, we're not interested on where he was. We care about what he's saying today. And the reason he, I think, is resonating so with people is because he can't be bought. I think that's the one thing about Donald Trump that people love, is that he cannot be bought.
That perception.
I like the fact that he's an independent.
That perception he cannot be bought. You and I both know that anyone who has $11 billion likes to make money. So that certainly doesn't mean he wants to stop at $11 billion.
Oh, yeah, you're absolutely right. But that's the perception. And then the fact that he fights back, and they're looking at John Boehner, and they look at Mitch McConnell, and they hear what we've been promised ever since 2009 when the Tea Party organized and sent John Boehner a majority in the House, and then they kept saying, well, if you'll just elect us a conservative president, and then who do they give us? They give us Mitt Romney. 3 million fewer people showed up to vote, and so we ended up with a second term of Obama. Then in 2014, they said, well, if you'll just give us the Senate so that Harry Reid can't control the Senate, and we'll be in control, and then we'll stop Obama. They did that, and what happened? Nothing. And so people are angry. They don't trust the Democrats or Republicans, and that's why I think Donald Trump is resonating, because they're so angry with Washington, D.C. and politicians in general. The fact that he's not a politician, they don't think he can be bought. They think he's an independent thinker, and even though they may not agree with him on some issues, he is leading with evangelicals in South Carolina. I mean, it is insane.
Yeah.
But it's happening. It's a phenomenon I've never seen before, but I'm beginning to get it because it's all about anger.
Yep, it is all about anger. And anger, I think, is the number one issue. The perception of not being bought is the second issue. And it's kind of like the American people have felt like for a long time that we have been bullied. And we have been bullied. We've been bullied, by the drive-by media, by the perception of the us who aren't in Washington, D.C. and L.A. are just, fly over space. And the perception, the media browbeating us and political correctness browbeating us. And then all of a sudden, he's unleashed and he doesn't care, and he's unapologetic about it, which is extremely attractive when you have all these spineless Republicans who are apologizing over everything. Forget about the Republicans on both sides. You got Martin O'Malley apologizing for saying that all lives matter. Oh, I'm sorry, only black lives matter. That's the bizarre world that the professional politicians provide for us. So that's why Donald Trump resonates.
Oh, sure. And you think about it, Donald Trump is out there saying things that people would like to say. And he's so politically incorrect. He'll say anchor baby, and if somebody calls him down on it, he'll say, well, I'm going to use anchor baby. But the fact is, and it's not just his language, and of course he is bombastic, but, and again, it's that anger and distrust of Washington, D.C. and the politicians. But I think they just like the idea of sticking a finger in the eye of Washington, D.C., because they're tired of being told, well, we can't do that, or you can't do that, or we can't build a wall. A wall is too expensive, or we can't deport people who are here illegally. They're tired of hearing no, that you can't do anything about your situation, and you're just doomed to live with the status quo. And people are tired of the status quo. They want some real change, and this time they want it to go the other way, away from socialism and back towards capitalism and free markets and opportunity.
And they're barking up the wrong tree with Donald Trump. Barking up the wrong tree. All right, I'm talking to my very good friend Tony Powers. Powers to the people. italkus.com is how you can learn more about what he does. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to get right back with him right here on The Price of Business.